Okay, are we working? Yep, we're working. All right, cool. And wouldn't you know it, the very second I hit live, my phone goes off. I think people know it's like he's going to do it. Let's start messaging. Hey, Catherine. Hey, John. Good to see you. I'm doing pretty good. Hello, Peachy. Everybody's filing in here quick tonight. Hello, Cheyenne. Wait a minute. I just realized who you are, Cheyenne. I'm used to seeing you message under a different name. Everybody had a good week? Hey, Mathis. Good to see you, man. Well, I'll try and remember to call you Halloween because that's pretty much how I read it. So no problems there. I don't know of any way to change it on YouTube. Hey, Julius. Either you just gave me a big compliment or we're missing a zero or an O. Not that I got much to say. If you've ever seen my typing, it's bad. It's horrid. And for those of you who do have to put up with my typing, I'm sorry. So, okay, let's get started here. We got some interesting stuff to talk about. First off, though, I will say this: if you do want to ask a question and you leave it in the comments, please do phrase it as a question, not as a statement. I got 2 emails this week of people griping because I didn't answer their question, but I responded to their question, but I didn't answer it. I just thanked them for commenting. And honestly, I went back and read both of them. There was no question, it was a statement. And once I pointed that out to them, they were like, "Oh, well, this was my question." It's like, yeah. So if it's a question, I will do my best to answer it. But if it's just a statement, it's hard to in-depthly respond to every statement. Oh, John, you've been busy. Hey, Mortimer. Good to see you back. Oh, there's a Linda in the box. Hey, Merrick. Good to see you. Wow. I'm popular tonight. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. Okay, so first for some really awesome news that I'm sure everyone here is going to love to hear. Some of you, the Patreon members, already know this. We officially finished filming all the actual class videos for the Dragon Magic 101 class last night. So the only thing left we have to film is the class closing, which I usually film it after I do all the editing and uploading and everything. Makes it easier to know what to say in conclusion, if you know what I mean. And we're wanting to put in bonus video concerning the creation of the Dragon Magic staff. Since the creation of the staff is not required for completion of the class, that is going to be considered bonus material. And part of the reason it is bonus is because you will have to work with each elemental ruler to create the staff, and you have to work with each ruler for a solid month every day for each part of the ritual. That's why the staff creation as the total takes so freaking long. But it's also something that you could work through all the first three classes before you ever started your staff if you really wanted to. So that's why we're considering it bonus. And I'm trying my best to not go back and just continue recording things because I am picky. Nothing's ever up to my standards. That's one reason I don't like video classes. I feel like I don't explain things well enough, but you guys have made it clear that you all apparently love the way I explain things. So I am trying to get that good quality without delaying the class just because I'm being picky. Hey, Kane, good to see you. So, like the evocation section, I won't lie, that one bugged me. It took me forever to film it because evocation's a topic that it's really hard to explain, and without having questions, I'm always left wondering if I did a good job. So really, I'm planning on making sure anyone who goes to this class has the ability to go to the Discord and be able to ask questions for clarification and even get video chat with me shortly if need be to try and fill out those holes, because that is a huge topic, but it's also required. What? I recognize flavor. Also, I don't know if I've talked about this at all in the live streams. I know my Patreon members know about it. We do have a project going right now where we are working with the elemental rulers. I've got an artist who's willing to put up with me to do this. And they are actually doing full artwork of the elemental rulers in their full draconic form. And we're actually using evocation to work with the rulers, and it's not considered a done piece until the ruler signs off and says, yes, I'm happy with it. That's me. Which, as each one's done, and I'm trying to get we're going to make the prints and art available. So that if you want just the artwork, you can have it, but also it works as a great way to allow that energy and that elemental ruler to be housed in your home without having to set up an altar. You can just hang a picture. But as they're done, I'm making sure the test print comes out correctly, so we don't have should I say, a coffee cup mishap where they misprinted that. And once that's approved, we'll do a video where I'm going to talk a bit more in depth about each ruler. I'm going to do a video for each ruler, and I'll also show the artwork during that period, so I don't even have to try and explain what the ruler looks like. It's like, here's what they approved. Yep, so we know there's at least going to be 9. Though at least 3 or 4 of the rulers are wanting a 10th picture done where we basically do a portrait of all 9 of them in their human form. And the dragon that actually resides over the 9 elemental rulers, There's been some talk of possibly doing a portrait of that particular dragon as well. Though I've not yet approached him to see if he'd be down for it. Oh, you think the limited edition upside down should be a prize? Well, actually, you could turn it right side up and now you have something to set a candle on. That's not a bad idea. I never thought about anybody wanting a cup with it printed upside down, but it is limited. So yeah, that's something we could definitely consider if you all would be interested in that. I just got to figure out what we would do for the raffle. Because as you all know, and for the newcomers, we are running a contest right now. We're getting very close to the 1,000 subs and the 4,000 watch hours. And every video we release, whether it be a live stream, a Tuesday video, or even the magical coffee hour, if you like the video and drop a comment, even if it's just to say, hi, I was here, your name is put into a drawing where I will be giving away a free consultation with me. And it's not a short consultation. It's a full hour consultation, which normally goes for about $50. And certain people, like Peachy, is doing everything she can to comment on every video because she's already making a list and checking it twice of questions, according to her. So, and your name goes in for every video you comment on. So you can actually get your name put into the hat more than once. Wait, what? Hold on, I gotta go back up here. I'm trying to get everybody's questions. The day it was like a dodo bird fused with. I have actually seen dragons like that, Merrick. The ones I saw lived in warm climates, very desert-like climates. I don't want to say like tropical, because if there's too much vegetation or water, it's like they disappear. You don't see them no more. But I do see a lot of them around deserts. And they're just so silly to talk about. And you describe it perfectly, which is one reason I never talk about it. It's like they're going to think I'm crazy. So it's awesome to actually meet somebody who's seen one of these dragons. All right, Carlos, how can I meet my dragon? There is a video on here that talks about how to meet your guardian dragon. Now, this is one area where everything the dragons have taught me does differ from what some other authors have published. Pardon me. Throat's dry from all the filming. Now, the dragons have taught me that in order to meet your dragon, which it's not like just a dragon, it's first you have your guardian dragon. This is the dragon that you meet, and he really kind of is that first step into working with dragons. He's your mediator. He's the one that helps you meet all the other dragons. So first you meet your guardian dragon, and then you would meet what's known as your co-magician. And that dragon actually is the one that becomes your primary teacher and one of your best friends. You'll be working with them. Even when you're learning from other dragons, that dragon is still helping you learn when those other dragons aren't around. So it's kind of like a homeroom teacher. You're always going to be learning from that co-magician. And then once you meet the co-magician, that's when you start branching out into other dragons. So your guardian dragon, we do have a video on here talking about it where you can do the Dragon's Flame ritual and call out to it and try to get their attention. And that ritual works pretty good, though you may have to do it more than one time. And there is no doubt when you do the ritual, they will hear you. The question is two-part. A, will they test you to see how dedicated you are? Because dragons are really well known for that. So they will actually just kind of sit back and let you do the ritual a few times to see if you're dedicated. And then the second half is, do you have enough training in ritual work that when they do respond, you hear it? Whether it be their presence in the room, which when their presence falls in the room, you'll notice temperature changes. A lot of people report goosebumps, hair on the back of their neck standing up, strange noises. All those things can show their presence in the room. Now, if their presence is in the room, they have officially answered your call. At that point, it's just about working on your communication with them and building up that relationship. And they'll usually communicate by beaming the information straight into your mind telepathically. So the words may appear literally in your head. You won't hear them through like your actual eardrum. I even have one student, she actually sees like a screen and the words type out. So how they communicate can differ drastically from person to person. But check out that video. It'll lay it out. Now, in the Dragon Magic 101 class, the dragons have given a guided meditation that works every time if you can just do the meditation. Which I've mentioned on this pod or the stream before, and honestly, I feel a little cheated because I had to do it the old-fashioned way with the ritual. But they also won't let me just take the meditation and just like, here, everybody can have it yet. And since they have been really good to me and kept all their promises and everything as far as working with them, any information they don't want me to share yet publicly, I do kind of hold back and I put it only where they want it. Much like the Dragon's Eye Seal, y'all know I had that for like 3-4 years before they said, okay, you can share it. And I couldn't have been happier than the day they told me I could share that. Oh, man. Okay, limit one of a kind and should be, well, if we do the raffle, it will be signed. It is one of a kind, so yeah, it'll be signed. Like right now. Well, the basics are important, and dragons will definitely push basics like no other because it is the foundation. And honestly, if you have that foundation built strong, it makes everything else so much easier. Inevitably, perfect example. Talking about like the evocation that I'm worried about. Every student I've ever taught evocation to, if they've ever struggled with evocation, if there's one thing I've learned, it's just stop focusing on evocation and look at their basics. And inevitably, you'll find some area in the basics that once you just nail down that skill set, suddenly evocation just becomes a cakewalk to them. Do you enjoy the Dragon's Flame ritual, Mathis? Is that the first time you've done it? And Linda, you want me to raffle the cup off tonight? Or are you responding to something else that I'm not seeing? Okay. Have I missed any questions? Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah, it helps you build up pretty quick. It's an amazing little ritual. It really changed my practice the first time they gave it to me. Oh, Mortimer. Oh, that's actually a really good question. Oh, yeah, that would be great. 7 people, grab a friend, send them to the channel to subscribe. That would be great. Hey, that would actually send us to the 1,000 marker. Then we just need the view time and we'd be there. Mortimer, the big ritual. Okay, that's actually something I did want to talk about. I actually managed to get the big ritual to function this week, um, which I'm still trying to find exactly how to put it in words, because what ends up happening after that final evocation of that 10th dragon, you end up expanding your consciousness not only to the void, but beyond it and past it. So you're actually both in and outside reality at the same time. And it's at that point you come face to face with the dragon and the dragoness. And I didn't spend much time with them, because even once you get it to work, there's a massive amount of energy you're confronting. Not to mention the two entities that you are confronting in and of itself. And you, at that point, kind of have to choose which entity specifically you want to work with. Though I'll admit, I didn't really get much of a choice. It was just kind of like the dragon grabbed me. It's like, no, you're coming over here. But the he gave me a crap ton of information about him and the dragoness, and ways to literally start working with them more directly, um, without using this ritual, and also the things that this ritual can do. Which this ritual can be used for manifestation, it can be used for divinations, and in a weird way, it can be used for journey work, because, well, let's be honest, if you expand your consciousness that far, you're kind of everywhere at once. So, yeah, you've already journeyed everywhere. It's just a matter of focusing on it. Now, that said, I was so exhausted after the ritual, I pretty much just laid down and passed out. And yeah, I did. I woke up with a definite psychic hangover the next day. I was feeling rough. In fact, when I first woke up, I was actually sore enough that I actually was like, "Am I getting sick?" And very clearly in my head, I heard, "No, you got a psychic hangover, dummy." So, yay for psychic hangovers in this day and age. It was. I honestly can't think of ever doing a ritual quite like that. Um, Even when I did rituals where your consciousness expanded through like the tree of life, um, I couldn't compare the two. I really could not. It was a very different experience. And I wouldn't say I leveled up. I'd say I just managed to start the car. Now the question is, can I even drive the car? Because we just now got it to work. The question is, can we actually start to utilize it in its functions? That's the next step for me, which is, that comes with practice, of course. But they did assure me that this is a ritual that will be included in the 104 course. So it's not something that they're planning on holding back. It's just a matter of getting everything filmed and done. All right, Merrick, what's your question on the Dragoness? I'll try to answer it. Because these two dragons are really hard to put in words. Yes and no. The dragon and the dragoness, when you look at them, it's like you see them in every color. They're solid. They're like one solid color, but at the same time, you're seeing them in every color. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but, and the dominant color with them actually depends on the work you're doing with them, even what you're talking about. But yeah, she has definitely appeared red more than a time or two. I mean, the lack of solid details what makes them one so hard to talk about, because where most dragons have a solidified norm, these two, like, they seriously shift based on what you're working with them on, what you're talking about, while at the same time all possible appearances are just bombarding you in your mind's eye at the same time. It is a trip. Mather, that's a good question. In general, the dragon rulers have certain traits that they prefer. So I'd say in 90% of the cases, they should look similar to the artwork that they're approving. However, there are cases where a draconic ruler will present itself in a unique way in order to better connect with the individual, or because that form has some reference and meaning that will help the individual connect and learn better. So, so the general answer would be yes, but also don't be surprised if they show up differently in some way. And their color patterns will shift. Like Terrafana, she approved a very foresty green color, but she will often appear in like a very earthy brown color as well. But naturally, you can't just do with the color swappings in one single piece of art. Okay, for those of you who know I'm stupid, what does opalescent mean? That's true, Mortimer. One does not. Oh, pearl. Okay, thank you, Linda. um, no, it's. I mean, they can be, but like I said, they actually have a solid color. It's just they literally can project that solid color to be any color that they want it to be. So what you're visually seeing in your mind's eye will shift depending on what they're talking about or what you're doing. But at the same time, the information that they can literally have any color and what they would look like in any color is also being presented in your mind. So it's a little bit of an information overload. That's one of the reasons that it's really tricky to hold that ritual. There's so much energy and so much information hitting you that it's really hard to hold that focus. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps answer it a little better, because when they're presenting a color, if they move, it doesn't shift. It remains that color. It's just only if the subject matter changes or they choose to change it, will it change. And a lot of this is to present and show that they are kind of the source of, I guess you would say, draconic kind, if you will. Well, therein lies the greatest trick there, Dalton, because they don't refer to those two dragons as the unknowables for no reason. When you approach them, there's a lot that you can learn from them, but I don't think that you're ever going to be able to truly understand them fully and in depthly as long as we maintain physical limitations. And I think that's part of what that unknowable means. So the only thing that you can truly know and understand them is what you're directly approaching or what they're directly teaching at that time. Of course, mind you, this is the first time I've encountered them point blank head on like that. So now I've got to spend more time working with them and learning more about them. No, it takes practice, Mathis. And now imagine what, trying to hold a visualization for 10 of them. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Oops, that was a mistake. Sorry. But it takes practice, and that's one reason, I encourage anyone studying dragon magic, do your rituals um, as often as you can. Me personally, I'd recommend doing at least your basic rituals daily. Um, and I know a lot of people's like, well, that's going to leave you sapped and drained. Not if you're doing the ritual right, because the dragon's ritual is empowering you and the space. You shouldn't be draining yourself if you're doing it right. Because practice does make perfect there. Okay, go get you an egg. Good daily. Okay, daily, I would do the basic dragon's flame ritual. And if you've met your guardian dragon and or co-magician, I would include them in the ritual, and I would also at least do some meditation work with that ritual with them, because this is going to allow them to suggest areas that you might want to work on so they can teach you. This is going to help build the relationship with them. It's also going to help you to build your tolerance for ritual work, your visualization skills. It's really going to build on all those basics every day that you're doing it. And it's also going to help you to attune and get to know those draconic energies better, so that as you move up into the higher rituals where that energy starts hitting you more aggressively, you're going to be better able to tolerate the increased energy. And then from there, as your skill level grows, I would just slowly start increasing what I do in the ritual. So, for example, using the Dragon Magic 101 class, once you get to the point where you're working with the elemental rulers directly, I would actually consider working with them on a daily basis, whether it be through meditation, evocation methods that we talk about in the class, or even just trance work in your sanctum. I would still do that daily working where Even if you're just sitting down talking to them and listening to advice they have, do that. Or if you have a need or a goal you're working on in your life, get in there with them and talk about, let's get some energy moving, let's get some spell work moving, and let's get this manifesting. That would be how I would do it, and I just stair step that process up as you continued up your path in dragon magic, which the same stair step could be applied to any path. Hey, Emily. I hope I pronounced that right. Halloween, I would not mind if you all sent me any drawings or artwork you have of the dragons you work with. I always love to find out what people are encountering through their path. That said, I don't have any plans to publish them or anything like that. But it's always great to see people's experiences and, um, how they're progressing. And well, I always love when people share their artwork. There's so many great artists out there that do so many great depictions. Mathis, that is perfect. There's actually a comment I answered. Was that this week? Where somebody was asking me about it, about how to make magic a routine. And I actually did compare it to a gym workout. You set your alarm, you set the time aside, and you do it daily. And yes, at first it's like pulling teeth, but eventually it becomes a habit. And even though you don't feel like it that one day that you decide, I'm going to skip the gym today, you feel like crap when you don't. And that becomes your motivator. And I know everybody's looking at this and like, Fat Boy, what do you know about gyms? But I actually used to work out quite a bit. And I am working on getting back in shape. So I'm using that exact process right now to get back into a workout routine, whereas I did use it to get into my ritual routine. I can honestly say, unless I'm passed out unconscious for a day, there's not a day goes by where I don't do something. Because even if you put me in bed with the flu and I can't get out of bed, I will do some work while I just lay there. Even if it's trance work, I will do something. I actually did that in the hospital, scared my doctor a time or two. Because apparently, when I get really deep into a trance, my body would calm, that my stats would drop enough that the machine thought something was wrong. So I had to make sure I wasn't dropping too deep, because then they'd come in freaking out, and then they'd ruin my work. Actually, Amelia, there's an entire section of dragons that work with astrology. So, yeah, that makes plenty of sense. Though I will say, it's like I know they're there. I've talked to them a few times. Both me and my wife got a star chart done by somebody. I don't know how accurate it is, because we later on found out that person was crazy. But of course, I went and talked to them about the chart, and they were okay. Let's be honest, the charts came out accurate, but astrology is not a big thing of mine, so that's one area of dragons I don't know a lot about. And I kind of hope that one of my students who completes the classes, or somebody who takes the online classes once they're up, will be an astrology buff and will flesh out that area more. Because every time I've sat down and told myself I'm going to learn me some astrology so I can get more on that, never happens. Never happens. Something will happen, and it's just like, ooh, this is shiny. I'm going to go do that. And I don't know why. It's just one of those areas of metaphysics I've never been able to get into. Well, when the courses come out, you jump into those, you take them, and you start doing the astrology research. Because I'll be honest, I can't think of a single author that's actually done anything with it. Conway presented it. It's like, hey, dragons deal with astrology. There's astrology dragons. There's planetary dragons. And then she was like, moving on. It's like, well, we know they're there. Oh, you're welcome. That's honestly it. There's people that tried to get me to go online sooner than I did. I'm not technologically savvy, and I'm terrified of cameras. But even that said, I wish I had listened to them sooner. And every guy who's had a girlfriend or a wife and already knows that by saying it like that, I mean my wife told me I should do it sooner, and she was right. Because I've been able to reach and help more people in the 1 year I've been doing this than I think I have the entire time I've been teaching. So, yeah. Thank you, Halloween. That okay? Yeah, that's how I took it when it was described as a pearl because pearls shift in the light. So okay, that makes sense. So I did okay. I did take the description as it was meant. So yeah. No, the light doesn't shift their scale color. That's one thing about that I noticed quickly. Um, it's literally what the dragon's thinking, what it's doing, and they actually truly take on that scale color fully. It's amazing. It's almost like a chameleon effect, only quicker. And yeah, and absolutely perfect in color. Now who? Oh, okay, we're just going to turn my phone off. So, but yeah, I'm actually really excited to get a chance to learn more about those two. And I'm really looking forward to even working with the dragoness some because, like I said, the dragon is the one that yanked me to the side and was like, come over here first. But the two of them are very fascinating. I've not really encountered entities like this before. So I don't really even know how to begin to categorize them. So I'm kind of like a kid in a candy shop right now with something new and shiny. I just got to know all about it. So, although, if I understood his comment correctly, the dragon said something about showing me another way to do the ritual that is a bit easier. So I don't know if that means once you've done the larger ritual that there's an easier way to do it, or that there's an easier ritual that he's going to put in the 104 class as opposed to making you all do what I did. And that could just be my paranoia because let's be honest, I did all the hard work and then they gave me the easy stuff to give to you all. And I'm sitting here thinking, seriously, did they just do it again? Or if it's a, kind of a combo thing. So I'm of two minds because on one hand, it would be nice to be able to present you all with a much easier ritual. And so you wouldn't have to try and go through what I did. But on the other side, yeah, part of me is like, I had to do it. Why don't they? That sounds selfish and mean. I'm sorry. But only time will tell. And the 104 class is a long ways off, so we ain't got too much to worry about. In fact, I am pretty sure the 104 class will not go live till next year sometime. Well, actually, it's April, so yeah, it won't go until next year. I'll be lucky to get the 103 out this year. I want it out this year, but we'll see what happens. Now, that said, after finishing film this, a lot of people asked me in the stream last week, how long will the class take to work through? And I said roughly 2 months. And that's because the minimum projection for each of the path workings with each of the first 4 rulers was 1 week. Now, the way they have set those path workings up was a little different than what I was expecting. So there is some trial and error to help build the magician up and make them into a better practitioner. And because of that, the minimum time in the path working is 1 week, but it could take you longer to complete each path working than a week. So you could easily be working in that 101 class for 6 months or more. So yeah, it's because like the evocation, I actually expected when we got to the evocation section, because there's two rituals. One is where you actually get to visit the lair of the elemental ruler. Okay, which that's a huge deal. Okay, getting to visit and be a guest in a dragon's lair is a huge freaking deal. So I was expecting them to lay that out with like a guided meditation, the same way that I described that they gave us the guided meditation for the co-magician and the guardian dragon, because it kind of gives you that guaranteed success. They did not do that. They decided that we laid out the ritual for you, told you how to do it, and it's like, okay, go do it until you get it to work. And I actually, once I got the information fully, I actually had to go and do a full evocation ritual to make sure I hadn't screwed it up, because I was like, am I actually hearing this correct? Is this how you, and it was. So there is going to be some trial and error. There may be rituals you have to do more than once before you can get them to work. The good news is it uses the same framework for all 4 path workings. So once you learn the techniques for the first time through, everything else should just unlock and just truck on through. But yeah, they ended up not making it as easy as I thought they were going to end up doing from the looks of it. So once this goes live, I'm hoping to get some of your all's feedback on how they set it up and what you think. So let's see. And we have already started outlining the Norse class for those who asked last week about a Norse class. We did already tell the Patreon members about that, but yeah, I wanted to go ahead and make sure everybody knew that is in the works. The ETA is not 100% yet, but right now we're looking like it may end up being 2 to 3 classes, because the rune class itself, there's so much information there that really kind of needs to be a class on its own. And then we're looking at the Seed class and the Gulderstaff class, which those are the 2 we're wondering if we can merge. And then we're also wondering where to put the basic Nordic framework of spirituality and rituals, how energy and stuff like that works. And would that be a class of its own, or would that be something we overlap with the other 2? So we're still hammering out some of the finer details, pun intended. But But I am hoping to start filming those early summer. I want to be filming them early summer, if not sooner. But the Dragon Magic classes do take priority because we want to get at least the Dragon Magic 102 class out for sure this year, and I actually do have a goal of getting the 103 out. Because the 103 is where you actually move into those higher elements, and I think that's an important class. So, anyways, we have spent quite a bit actually talking about what I've had going on this week, which, last bit we've kind of ran through it quickly. Hold on a second. Looks like there's a blocked message here for a second. Let me see it. Okay. I see why they blocked it. Mike, there we go. Sorry about that. I didn't see the comment at first. There is a video on how to connect with your guardian dragon on the channel, as well as the co-magician, actually. Just go to the Dragon Magic playlist, and you should be able to find the Dragon's Flame Ritual, which you should use for that, and look up Guardian Dragon. It'll be right there. Okay. Has the chat stopped working? I've never seen you guys go this quiet. Somebody type Drake, you're a goof if it's working. Or anything for that matter. Okay, it's working. I'm cooking. Okay. Oh, what you making? Sorry, I'm a foodie. There we go. Okay, good. Chat's working. Whew, that spooked me for a second. Okay. So, anybody got any questions for me that I can answer tonight? Well, if you're making, just call it blackened. I know as a chef, I know blackened doesn't mean burnt, but I can't count the number of people who burn their food and call it blackened. So, yeah, just call it blackened. Unless you're feeding a chef, they'll never know. That's like everybody in the U.S. thinks Cajun just means hot. Yeah, that sounds good, man. I primarily eat a carnivore diet because I am trying to get more in shape and also to get my insulin resistance in check. So I miss my pastas and my breads. As much as I love my meat, there's certain things you do miss, and it's pasta and bread. Of course, that's how I got to where I'm at too. So, trade off. And for those of you who don't know, Cajun is not just hot. If you ever actually visit Louisiana, Cajun cooking, the seasoning is flavorfully balanced. Yes, they use some spices and they use pepper and stuff, but they actually balance the heat in a way that, oh my God, it's freaking delicious. There's nothing else like it. And that's why I can't eat at Cajun restaurants outside Louisiana. No one does it right. They call it Cajun. They put something in front of it. It's like, this is not jambalaya. I don't know what this is, but this is not jambalaya. And I've just become too picky. Once you eat real Cajun food, it'll kill all your favorite restaurants if you eat at Cajun restaurants outside Louisiana. Yeah, I'm kind of more on the extreme side of it because I do like no plants. Well, okay, let's be honest. During the whole restricted shopping thing, I've had to open up a bit more. So I am a bit more keto right now than I had been. But generally speaking, I eat bacon, eggs, and beef. That's the bulk of what I eat. Peachy, when I went to Louisiana the first time, it was seriously my main motivation was to learn to cook. That was my motivation. The fact that I tripped and fell into the occult again was just a side perk. Not that I'm complaining, but for every person who eats my food and they say I cook well, I honestly attribute that to my time in Louisiana because everything I knew how to cook before Louisiana just got better because of what I learned down there. I had a weird experience with a dragon once that was feeling on the energy of an auditorium. I'm not sure I understand the question. Feeling like as in it was filling up the auditorium, or you was feeling the energy of the auditorium? I'm just making sure I understand the question. You know what? I have been told multiple times that my videos and live streams are used as background noise and to listen to while doing other things. Actually, apparently, I'm somebody's workout buddy. While they're running and working out, they got their earbuds in listening to me trying to learn some stuff. Oh, feeding on the energy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Actually, that is kind of a common experience because dragons do feed on energy, not in a vampiric method. I have to clarify that because usually you say feeding on energy, they're like, oh God, they're going to drain me. No. Dragons only feed on ambient excess energy. So they will never feed on energy that you need. Thanks, Will. I appreciate that. I'll answer that question in a second. So that's the reason why I say energy offerings are so great for dragons because you can charge that crystal and put energy into it and offer it directly to them. And it's detached from you. You've placed it there, you have given it to them. And energy is what they eat. So that's the reason so many high energy things attract dragons because they're going there to take in that energy. But they will never take in energy in a way that is vampiric or harmful. Now that said, if you were to do a ritual and you didn't have a crystal and you was to offer up a small piece of your energy personally, they would take it as an offering, but again, they're not taking it against your will. You're offering it up as an offering and even a sacrifice. So that's a slightly different situation there. So, like if you look at a football game or something where you've got all these people crammed into the spot and they're all jacked up on emotions watching the game, that energy, their bodies cannot contain all the energy that the emotions are generating. So it rises up and fills the auditorium. It's not attached to them. And this is a great feeding ground for dragons. So, yeah, that's actually pretty common. Yes, my wife is definitely a McDonald's lover. Her favorite food is cheeseburgers. So if I ever wonder about what I need to make for dinner, it's usually a cheeseburger. She's one of those people that can't eat the same thing over and over and over, except cheeseburgers. I have never, ever seen her get to the point where it's like, I don't want a cheeseburger. I seriously think that girl could be just like the guy from Popeye and just eat cheeseburgers the rest of her life. I really do. And Will, why do I not stream on Twitch? Well, we did the Magical Coffee Hour on Twitch for a while. and we just was not getting a large turnout. Twitch was not letting people know we were going live. And every bit of my video content and most of my subscribers were over here. So for a while, like I said, we did do the magical coffee hour on Twitch when I first started live streaming because I honestly didn't know how to do it on YouTube. That said, I was getting a lot of comments with people who wanted to just sit down and shoot the shit with me. And that's where the ideal for research and ramblings came from. I was like, I'll just go live on a Friday night, fill that gap between Tuesday when I release my videos and the magical coffee hour and see what happens. And it exploded. That first night, I think we had a good 10 people in chat just constantly asking questions. I did not expect the turnout. And it just became a thing. And then at some point, with the low turnout on Twitch, me and Linda decided to move the magical coffee hour to YouTube and see how it would do. So, like most of you know, last week was the Magical Coffee Hour's first live stream straight from YouTube. Usually we do the Twitch and then I just upload the replay. So it really comes down to Twitch just was not letting my subscribers know. And every episode I would get 5-6 messages in my inbox that Twitch never notified them I went live. So I kind of moved everything over to YouTube because YouTube, I won't say they always notify people because let's be honest, we know they don't. But they do a better job of letting y'all know. So that's the main reason I'm currently not on Twitch. Though I will say I have considered still using the Twitch for something. I just haven't figured out what yet. And I don't know, the turnout on Twitch might also be, I think most people on Twitch expect video games. And I'm so bad at technology, I have no idea how I would possibly do a video game and talk to you all at the same time. I couldn't do it. I can multitask a lot of things, just not technology. But thank you. I am glad you enjoy the videos. I try to constantly improve it. And actually, for those who are currently Patreon members, thank you for your pledges. I'm just trying to think of the word for it. And just so you know what we're exactly looking at right now for the channel, we're wanting to improve the lighting. As you all have noticed in the videos, the lighting gets crazy. And if I have to move out of the office, it gets so bad. So bad. And we are trying to find an audio solution to jet noise and cars and neighbors. But we're also looking for a waterproof style camera, something that we can go outdoors and do rituals. And so I can actually take you guys out into the wilderness and show you how I do rituals out there. I can't really do that with the camera I got right now. The weather's too unpredictable. And if one drop of rain usually means a monsoon. So my camera would be dead. So I do all that money is actually going straight back to the channel, just so you know. And I do appreciate everyone's support. It's been a blessing. Yeah, that's actually a dragon I've never looked for, though I have seen a dragon that actually did work with farmers and ranchers. So technically, if they're working with a cattle rancher, does that make them a beef dragon? Because oh dear God, Peachy, why? Yep, I got to lose weight. That is awesome to hear, Mortimer. Most people do not realize Creole and Cajun cooking is different. They think they're honestly the same, and they are not. Uh, well, no, currently I am not attached to any covens or anything like that. Um, I did initiate with a coven at one point, and I am still in good standing with that group. Actually, I think I'm the only guy in that coven. And I'm still good friends with the high priestess that was, well, high priestess at the time. She passed it on now. But I don't currently work with any groups or covens directly. Um, I'm very much a solitary practitioner because I found that when you work with groups, they have a way of doing things, and I tend to go down so many rabbit trails, I annoy them, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to disrupt the group. So we have done one video where I actually shot the ritual and walked everybody through it, and that turned out well. And I am wanting to get more ritual videos done. It's just, well, it's me being picky. Let's be honest. It's me being picky. Since I only have the one camera, I can't get multiple angles of the ritual. So I have to set up, and it's just like you're looking at me the whole time. And I know that's just me being overly picky. And I really should just get over it and shoot more ritual videos. Because I have not had you all complain about camera angles once. Heck, you guys are even quite considerate about jet noise and dragons playing with the microphone. But I can never do anything about that. So that is true. Actually, there's been more than one person who said it this week, Peachy. I won't lie. I actually did a live consultation for someone this week. And they commented on how I shaved my head. And they did comment I very much had a Buddha like energy. So, yeah. Which that's not a bad thing. And I don't take it as an insult. I mean, you want to tell me that I remind you of someone who's spiritually considered advanced and balanced? I take that as a total compliment. I do not work with oracle cards. I've used one or two decks in the past. I've just never got the results I like from them. And I have worked with tarot cards a lot, though I tend to not gravitate toward them as much. I prefer using scrying for divinations and runes. So I use the Elder Futhark a lot for my divinations when it comes to that. And of course, training in Cajun voodoo, I also learned to throw bones. So tarot cards, I have a deck. I love them. I absolutely love them. And they're always very, very accurate for me. But since I use them so little, it takes me longer to do my readings because I have to get out and double check, make sure I'm thinking that card means what I'm thinking it means. Or I read there's a technique of tarot, and a lot of tarot professionals hate this, absolutely hate this. But you don't read the card as the tarot meaning, you read the card as it speaks to you. Um, Now that method of tarot I do enjoy, and I've started gravitating toward that more and more over the years. But I definitely don't like to use it in public because I don't want to confuse people about what I'm doing as opposed to tarot reading itself, because there is a difference. So now my preferred divinations is Nordic runes and scrying. That's a good question. Though I do teach a rune class, or not a rune, a tarot class. Um, Again, because I have had experience in tarot 4 years, it's just not my preferred divination. And all my students say I do a great job teaching it, but yeah, whether I'll put it online or not is still in the air. I'm thinking about it. Math is they have their pros and cons. They do. There's some people who like the group element and the social elements, and I get that. You got to look at your personality, who you are. Though I will say sometimes it is just easier to be solo because with groups comes the inevitable politics and drama, and whew, I can't handle that at all. Will, you're looking at it. I am actually a professional occult practitioner. I actually, at least in the immediate community where I live in, I teach classes one on one. I do spell work for clients. I do consultations, and that's what I do for a living. Other than that, I'm a house husband. Uh, so I'm kind of blessed to be able to do that. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. And I've done pretty well with it. If you'd ever told me I could do this as a job, I would have never believed it. And I was doing pretty good before we moved. I had a pretty good base. And then when we moved, it's like you have to start over. You hit the reset button. You have no clients, you have nothing. And that was kind of the wake up point where I was like, okay, my wife's right. I need to go digital so I can stay in contact with students. And that was the point where we started the YouTube channel to start helping people with the basics and everything. And of course, the school is all my classes that I would normally teach one on one. We're trying to get them filmed and put online. So no matter where you are, you can still take the class regardless. Because that's been my goal the whole time, is to make information available and shareable in some format. So yeah, I'm currently at a point where, yes, I can do this, but it's, the more I focus to the online and the filming, the more I have to cut back my classes and everything else because I have to have time to do the filming. So I'm having a little issue with the balancing thing. But yeah, this is what I do. And I try to be very dedicated to the students and the viewers so that I can present as best I can. Stephanie, I always see you drop the what are those things called? Emoji icons? And I've been meaning to ask this because I know people actually write sentences in emojis. And does that configuration actually mean something, or is it just awesome looking? Because it is, it's full on awesome looking. I love it. And if you don't feel like talking in chat, just drop a no. Oh, so it does mean something. Okay, cool. Cool. I might have to photograph it and see if I can decode it. Do y'all know there's a game show where they do emojis? They like show the thing. It's like, what's this say? Yeah, I stay in a lot of hotels. That's how I know that. But yeah, that was I suck at that game show, by the way. I can't read emojis. My wife's pretty good at it. Oh, Mortimer. Thanks, Bo. Yeah, I got bored the other night, and I just buzzed it off. Which, if you follow my videos, you'll know last summer I buzzed it too. But yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, I am ordained to officiate weddings. I've done a few. Back when I worked at the occult shop that I lost, I told y'all, I tripped and fell into this because an occult shop owner wanted me to teach the classes, and I didn't think anyone would sign up. So when I worked there, she asked me if I would get officiated in order to help do weddings, and I did. So, and again, that was something I didn't think there was a big call for, and again, I was wrong. So yeah, I try to do weddings whenever I can for people. Due to my stage fright, I've always thought I'm not the best pick, but people who I've done it for, they've said I did a great job. So I just had to take their word for it. So if that is something you all want, just shoot me an email at workingdragonmystic.com, and we'll try and work something out and see if it's possible. Usually you have to be local because I can't afford to like fly to California to just do a wedding. So logistics become a problem. Yeah, I recognize the moon phase in it, which was really cool, Stephanie. I really need to learn more emojis and how to text, and I need to get caught up with the times. I really do. Will, to answer that question without using that word, because YouTube hates that word at this point and will probably ban my video. I'm handling it pretty good. Honestly, I'm a hermit by nature. So, and I've also taken a lot of survival classes in my days. And since I do live in an area where hurricanes hit or tropical storms will shut us down, I'm kind of lucky that I've prepared. So honestly, my nothing's really changed for me. It's one of those things, I get up, I do my job, I record my videos, I work on classes, I do consultations, I answer emails and questions. The biggest change in my life is it's harder to get to the liquor store. Yep, that's the biggest change. Well, that and unfortunately, and I hate to admit this, but you all got in my head like a mind worm last week. And I have been theoretically, possibly, no guarantees, so don't jump up and down, been considering getting a dog. And it makes it harder to talk to people about a dog when everybody's at home. So those would be the biggest things I've ran into. Otherwise, I'm doing pretty good. Mathis, you are not kidding, man. I can't count the number of people who run up and just want to rub my head. I don't know what it is. People just want to touch it. Which, depending on who you are, that's a benefit. But and it is free, and you don't have to worry about crap. I have a hair type; it's naturally curly, and until I trained it to lay the way you guys got used to seeing it lay, I had like a natural afro. If it grew long, it didn't grow down, it grew up. Um, so as someone who wears a hat and being Southern, you run into a problem because yes, there's times where you can wear your hat all day long. You never take it off, no problem. But then you're also taught you take your hat off at certain points out of respect. And then you just got, oh, it's bad. It's bad. So it's a very freeing experience. I don't really know a lot about Peace Talks other than the trailer, though. From the trailer, it looks like the shit's going to hit the fan, and it looks like it's going to be interesting. And unfortunately, the trailer again makes the character and my personality come way too close, and I have already been getting emails from friends who follow the series pointing out the similarities. So it's kind of a dear God, this book is coming. It's going to start again. And then there's a hey, I get to read it. How about Vegas? Dude, I love Vegas. I won't lie. I absolutely love Vegas. I have not been there in years. But again, travel would be the kicker. But yeah, I would definitely wouldn't mind doing a wedding in Vegas, especially if somebody's flipping either the air bill or the hotel bill. I'd pay the other, but yeah, Vegas is a hell of a time. I enjoy Vegas. Yeah, we're honestly, I've been trying to figure out what we want if we can manage it because she's busy all the time, plus her deployments, and then well, most of y'all know I work 18, 20 hours a day. So well, we no whoa, don't go congratsing me on no puppy. We don't have a puppy. We don't have an animal yet. There's no guarantee we getting an animal. It's just in consideration. Y'all didn't win that good. It's not like I ran out and bought a dog. No, Vegas is a unique place. There is not a place like it. Oh, thanks for the heart, Stephanie. Or that could be for the puppy for all I know. But yeah, I did. I got ordained and all that stuff. So it's probably the service I do the least, though. A lot of people tend to go more to like a metaphysical shop or, um, oh, I can't think of the churches that have all denominational. I think it's the all denominational churches. But yeah. If any of my viewers out there are getting married, just like I said, just message me. We'll try and hammer something out. No problem, Stephanie. Thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment, and I am honored to be able to help you. It's that's actually why I do this. Whether or not I will ever actually see a profit from going online, I don't know. But my goal was to be able to reach out and help people, and that's I'm definitely seeing that. So I'm happy. Let's see. What do Okay, Mathis, the Dragons, what do they think of the global situation at the moment? They think it is a necessary for the balance because humans are in a time of awakening. They're understanding that there were certain modern comforts that we allowed to become too comfortable with, and we did not consider possibilities of things that could take those away from us. And we are now sitting in that exact situation where things we took for granted have been taken away from us, and we don't really know how to handle it. But at the same time, this is going to create a better humanity as a whole, because we are seeing those faults that we created ourselves. And there's people who, like, honestly, let's be honest. Me as a survival guy who took survival classes and kept prep food on hand, I actually got laughed at. People would laugh at me as a crazy prepper guy, which I'm not like a crazy end of the world guy, but there's a difference in that and just being prepared. But not one of those people are laughing at me now. And at the same time, there's actually people who's wanting to learn that information. So yeah, it's definitely an awakening. And I think it will help bring more balance globally in the end too. Which is, as you know, that's the dragon. In fact, it was a water dragon wedding, which was a blast. Thank you, Silverhawk. It's always good to know the work's appreciated. Oh, I got a purple heart that time. Purple's one of my favorite colors. That thought crossed my mind too, Mortimer. So yeah. But see, the cats, though they physically passed away, they still hang around both me and my wife. So yin and yang still have their cats to play with and chase. The only thing is now they can communicate better, which actually tends to make them more annoying. So yeah. No, there's a few modern conveniences I will admit I miss, because like right before everything went south, I was thinking about going to a restaurant for sushi. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, I still ain't had my sushi. Honestly, Will, it's putting a lot of people to the test. It really is. And I will say I've actually seen a real shift. And let me try to explain this without offending anyone, which I probably will. Inevitably, I end up making someone mad. But like during the Australian fires, practitioners across the globe just started, without thinking of environmental impact, they just started doing all magic they could to put the water out or put the fires out. Anytime something natural happens, you have to look at the effects on nature and the way it balances out. Brush fires and stuff actually serve a purpose in nature. So there's the point between a brush fire and a brush fire that's actually a genuine problem. So that in and of itself ended up causing additional problems, because eventually not only was the brush fires out, but then they ended up with flooding. So there's a lot of practitioners that do not take that natural cycle and balance into account when they're doing things. Now, bring us to current events. Straight out of the gate, the first thing people started to do was do magic to eradicate the current events and just get it over with. Quick and easy. And somehow, some way, everyone quickly acknowledged that it wasn't working. In fact, if you follow the trend lines, you'll see a spike. Now, however, if you follow groups and stuff, you're seeing the trend move over to protection, improved health, and healing, which that's where the magic needs to be going, not to the eradication, because the event is serving a purpose. So that purpose needs to be served, but you can still use your magic to protect your family, to heal your family, and to improve the overall health of your family. And for the first time in 10 years, I'm actually seeing the wiser use of the long-term magics as opposed to using just the hammer. So I do think it's actually having a drastic improvement. And I won't lie, it's actually an improvement I didn't expect to see in my lifetime. So for me, it's actually kind of neat to be seeing it. And no problem about the late arrival. And Will, as far as protect you and those you love, reach out to Terrafana. Wonderful with protection and healing. And if you want that extra oomph, I would also reach out to Coralegra, the ruler of water, because not only is she great at healing, she's also great with emotions. So she can help deal with the stress and the anxiety and stuff that our current situation's dealing with. So yeah, I'd focus everything onto, protecting, improving the health, and also the emotions, and lowering the stress, because if you can lower the stress, even better. No problem, no problem. Like I said, I want to talk more about it, but the way YouTube's working right now, if I say anything directly, their algorithm might flag me. So that's why I say current events. And yeah, I got to play with the rules. That's one reason I did create the Discord, by the way, because there's things that you can ask me on Discord that I can't talk about on YouTube. Like, yes, I can mention blood magic and sex magic technically on YouTube to a certain extent, but I still have to keep it within a certain range. On Discord, the server, to my knowledge, it's not really monitored by anyone except me and a couple other moderators, so I can have a lot more free conversations there. As same thing with the Patreon, it has a messaging system, which I didn't know Patreon had a messaging system until I actually launched it. Silverhawk, no, I'm not familiar with that particular podcast. I might have to look it up. Because a lot of the podcasts I used to listen to have gotten boring because they've become the same information over and over. Because there for a while, I was listening to mostly like keto style podcasts because I'm a science junkie and I was wanting to know all the science behind how it worked. And I've not been able to find any good metaphysical ones I like. So yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Mathis, that's a tricky question because the Fae being good to work with really depends on the practitioner. I do work with the Fae some, and I think I've mentioned this a time or two, but it's my relationship with the Fae came through the dragons because the dragons do work with the Fae quite a bit. And I've worked with both sides of the Fae, the light and dark. But personally, if you were to ask me, do I have friends and allies of the Fae? I would have to say the darker Fae are where my friends and allies are. Just because those are the ones I get along with. They're comfortable. Their personalities just kind of match me. And I mean, that might make me sound like a horrible person depending on your experiences with the dark fae, but much like any entity you approach, it's really going to depend on the person. Now, that said, on a more generalized view, the fae is great to work with. They can help you really understand the natural cycles of nature. They can help you understand magic, both in and outside of nature. So yeah, they can be really great to work with, but they also have their rules of conduct and how you treat one another. So you need to try and make sure you understand what the expectation is, because if they're offended in some way, they can become a real pain in the rear. Awesome, Stephanie. That will be great. I'll there's a link in the video from last week, and when I'm done with this one, I'll make sure there's a link also included in it that'll get you over to the Working Dragon Mystic server. But in case you want to get into the server before this uploads, I'll make sure there's a link. You can just click on last week's episode, and there's already a link in its description. Glitch Bottle and Rune Soup. Oh, Rune Soup. I will definitely check both of those out, Mortimer. No, I don't. I do not know my Myers-Briggs personality. It's kind of funny because you're the first person to ask that, yet almost every group of people I hang out with, everyone knows their personality. And they just sit there and talk about it. And I usually just sit back with my coffee and I'm like, I'm just going to stay out of this. And no one's ever turned and asked me that. So, no, I do not currently know my Myers-Briggs personality. So I might actually have to take that test at some point and figure it out. Actually, me and Mab get along really well, Mortimer. More often than not, she's generally the fae I talk to. I've enjoyed working with her. A couple years ago, she really helped me through some shadow work. So, yes, let the jokes ensue. Yeah, that's one good way to say it, Will. We've lost contact with those natural patterns and even a sense of self sufficiency. I mean, growing up in the South, I can't remember ever when my family didn't do canning. That was just something we did. So, like pickled fish, pickled eggs, canned green beans, canned tomatoes, canned pickles. This was all standards. We just did it. And back then, I didn't know why. I didn't think about it. None of that. But once I moved here, where like we really didn't have much time to prep before last year's storm season, so that kind of stuck with me, and I did do a bit more prepping so I'd be ready for this year's storm season. One of the things I did prep was eggs because, yeah, I love eggs. So I actually started pickling eggs, and I actually have some pickled fish in the fridge that I've started again because it's that preservation, that long term keeping it. And it's, yeah, learning how to do those things, become more self sufficient, and understanding the flow and those cycles of the natural world. Yeah, I am convinced that's very much what this is all about. And honestly, if you look at people and talk to them, you'll notice that the people who generally have that self sufficient mentality, they're not hurting too bad right now. I'll be sure to do that, Silverhawk. I will check it out because I'm going to take my first day off in like a month tomorrow. The only thing I'm doing tomorrow is the spell work that tier 2 and up Patreon members get. So I'm going to be doing that ritual and spell work tomorrow. Other than that, I'm taking the day off because I've not had a day off in over a month. I've been going 24/7 pretty much. And then, of course, we got the Magical Coffee Hour Sunday, which will be airing here again because everything worked great last week. So we will be airing it here again. And Monday, I'm going to be diving in hard to editing and getting the class ready. Because as of now, we're still on schedule to release the class on April 15th. Well, you could look at it that way. Like I said, when I was doing the Clefothic path working, Lilith and Samiel kind of pumped the brakes on that and sent me to do the Draconic ritual, which I finally completed. But part of the Draconic work that is still part of that is getting some of these classes up. And they made it clear I'm not supposed to restart that path working till fall. So yeah, you could say that since Lilith kind of sent me over to get all this up and running, yeah, she's working me hard, though she's not had a direct hand in it yet. Actually, she hasn't popped up and bothered me since the path working stopped. So, but I'm pretty sure she's watching to see if I listened. Well, I'm doing my best to get it out to you all. Now, I think the biggest slave driver I got right now is me, because I'm trying to get it out to the date I quoted you all that I wanted. And I don't think anyone at all of you would mind if I actually took time off and it just extended it a week. It's just, I don't know. I can't do it. There's just part of me. It's like, no, this is what I said. This. We're going to do everything we can to do it. So, okay. I've been doing divinations daily, trying to watch certain spiritual and energetic trends, and to get an idea of that, because anyone who works in divinations, that when you do a divination, that's what it is at that moment. So even if you're predicting the future, so much can change from that moment to the next. That's the reason I continue to observe it daily. At this point in time, things should start balancing out or leveling out. I would say mid-April toward the end of April. Now, does that mean over? Not necessarily. But currently everything should start leveling out mid-April-ish or toward the end of April. And that's kind of been a pretty solid trend that I've been noticing. So that makes me think that we should see it balancing out and leveling out about then. And I wouldn't expect it too long after that for it to actually be over. Because if you look at the science side of it, situations like this don't do well in hot weather, and we got summer coming. So, make the best of it. What I've told a lot of people is work on your craft, work on your magic, work on any hobbies, catch up on reading and research. Make use of this time, turn it into a positive. And there is definitely a bright dawn a coming. I'm making time for myself. I'm making time for myself. I promise. That's what tomorrow is. That's what tomorrow is, man. I plan to make me some coffee. Um, I'm even thinking about firing up the smoker or just the grill, but I am. I'm just going to veg out tomorrow, other than the ritual. Watch some Simpsons, which I found Simpsons on the what is it, Disney Plus, so I'll be watching that. Which someone actually told me I remind them of Homer Simpson. I was like, what? And then they explained it because he has that goofy personality. He's hardworking, but he's such a caring person. It doesn't initially show, but he is that caring person. I was like, okay, when you explain it like that. Well, it'll be over here. Oh, Mathis, you don't have to worry. Things will. If you're talking about the class, you should see it around the same. You'll get more updates on it than anybody. Well, but what if you release the first, second, and then release the third, so collecting the full funds up front, so you are motivated to keep your word? Um, I'm not releasing them all at once. They are being released because, first off, I don't want anyone to feel rushed in completing any of these classes. I want you to take your time, work through them, and learn the lessons. Um, that was always one of my worries about putting stuff online, because with an individual student, I can make sure they learn the lessons before they move on. I can't do that with an online student. And I know once they're all released, I still can't do it. But definitely, I want to make sure that there's space between these classes so that you can do the work, get the experience, and not rush. And ultimately, all I can do is hope that anyone who takes the class does that. But as far as purchase up front, hey, Ambient Tarot, good to see you. That's something I've never really wanted to do, because I don't know what's going to happen. With all the technology problems I have, I'd be terrified as soon as I'd done that, all my camera equipment would die. So, yeah. And as far as motivating, that would be dangerous, because I'm so self motivated to do things when I say I will, that would add just a whole new layer on it that probably would not be good for me. Because as Peachy could tell you, um, my days are pretty much get up, work, go to bed, get up, work, go to bed, get up, work, go to bed. So I'm very self motivated. But no, I wouldn't want to do the funds up front. Oh, that. No, 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 no. So the Dragon Magic 101 class is released in, there's multiple parts or sections to the one class, and the first two parts of it had already been finished completely. Not the 102 class. The 102 class is outlined, and we know how we want it set up so it can be filmed, but we've not even started filming it yet. So yeah, that would be the why. Unless you're talking about, instead of maybe I read this up here as classes and you actually meant sections of the single class. So maybe I read your comment, the first comment, wrong. Because the way the site works, you have separate lectures, and then in each lecture there's different lessons. So I actually break the class up into those lectures and sections. So if I'm remembering right, there's 5 sections overall for the class. It's hard to, it'll make, the second you get the class and log in, you'll see totally what I'm talking about. It makes so much sense once you look at it. And no disrespect taken, Will. I totally understand the question. And to be honest with you, if I actually already had the second one recorded, I wouldn't want to delay the release because, well, I get too excited about getting information to y'all. I would still encourage you not to rush yourself, but yeah. See, Peach will tell you I'm a workaholic. The 101 class will release on April 15th. As long as some computer issue don't delay me because we still have editing to do. But yeah, April 15th is when the 101 class will release. And the Dragon Magic 101 class will take 2 to 6 months to complete estimation. If you do all the exercises and complete it as is laid out. And if you take and do the bonus rituals, you could actually get more out of it than that. Yeah, and see, Mathis has hit on it right there. Because when you get to those higher elements, which the 103 class will actually include all the higher elements. So you want to have that foundation and you want to be ready for when you approach them. And that's one reason we're doing it this way. Because what's going to happen is the 101 class actually lays out the framework of Dragon Magic. It lays out the basics, the techniques that's used, the tools that are used, how you're going to actually craft those tools. It makes sure you meet your guardian dragon and build that relationship that is so sorely needed. It makes sure you meet your co-magician and build that relationship. It also teaches you how to work with both of these dragons to get the most out of that relationship. Then it moves into meeting and directly building relationships with the first 4 elemental rulers. We put the focus solely on each individual ruler. So you'll be spending a minimum of 1 week path working focused on each individual ruler. The 102 class, we take that foundation and we ramp it up to the next level where it's comprised of path workings that now that you understand how to work with the rulers, we're going to introduce you in how to move out past the rulers to actually work with other dragons, how to meet them, how to find them, how to communicate with them, and how to utilize them in your practice. So by the end of that class, that 102 class, you should have worked with 25 or so dragons by the end of that class. And in that class, in the 102 class, we're actually going to start teaching astral evocation as well. Then we move over to the 103 where we take all those lessons, and now it's like, okay, let's try to tackle the higher elements now. So I'm trying to put as much in there as I can. And of course, the Discord channel actually has a section for the school, and there'll be a link in the class for the Discord. um, so that you can actually, if there's a question, you can easily message me and ask me the question and get a quick response. Which the school has its own comment section too. I've just noticed people don't want to use it for some reason. So for that one low price of $30, you get all that material of the 101 class, and you get the ability to ask me questions. And any updates to the class that I do later in the future, they're free. You have lifetime access to the class. You know, there's a lot of good things in my life that's happened because of bets. Anyone want to take a wild guess how I met my wife? I'm actually wanting to do the live stream the week before the class and try and dive into the class for anyone who has questions. So yeah, that I'm actually planning that, Mathis, and that's a really good idea. I lost a bet, hands down. We were friends, and my best friend at the time told me I should ask her out, and I told him he was full of crap. She's way out of my league. And we argued about it for about 5 hours that night. And finally, he hit me where it hurt. I am an old gambler at heart, always have been. And he couldn't play cards to save his life. So he challenged me to a card game. The winner gets to choose. So if I won, I didn't have to ask her out. If he won, I had to ask her out. And I was like, fine. He's like, but I get to choose the game of cards. I was like, okay, that's fine. Now, mind you, I know he can't play cards for squat. So I figure this is an easy one. Son of a bitch chose high card as the game. So it's literally draw a card. The one with the highest card wins. No skill involved. He drew a 10. I drew an ace. I lost. So I had to ask her out, which turned into a phone call where I literally just blurted, "You want to go out with me?" And then tried to change the subject. And the rest is history. Oh, well, thank you. Those curtains are actually some spare curtains that we had in our old place, and when we moved, we didn't have a place for them. And I needed something to stop the just blinding white out when I was filming, because the first time I filmed, you couldn't see me. Everything was just glaring. So I stuck those up, and it looked so good. I was like, heck yeah. So it's just become a staple. I thought about changing it one time, and I mentioned it to a few people locally who watch my videos, and they kind of threw a fit on the concept that I might change the background. But a lot of people actually find it funny when they realize I am actually shooting in my office, and that's actually my real bookshelves and everything. It's not just a prop. Oh yeah, it was smooth. It was smooth. It was just, and the thing is, she left me on the hook for like 3 months without answering, and I'd completely forgot. And she ended up saying yes while we were on the phone, and I was doing something else at the same time. So I was like, wait, what'd you say? Hell, I'm not complaining. It was a great bet that I lost because, we've been married 20 years this year, and we dated, oh, I'd say 3 or 4 years before that. And somehow she still puts up with me. John, yeah, April 15th is coming. I know you all are waiting on it, and it probably seems like forever, but for me, I swear that day's coming quick because I feel like I still have so much work to do. But I'm not complaining because since my wife's on deployment, the quicker I burn time, the quicker she comes home. So yeah, it's a win-win. Thank you. I honestly, the proposal was worse. Honestly, the proposal was worse. Um, but no, yeah. So yeah, the stream I do beforehand will definitely be focused on the class, so you all can ask any questions you have, and I can give you the definitive details. And I will probably do something for my Patreon members to celebrate the release as well. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what. No, Will. I was not. I considered it. Actually, it's weird because I considered joining before her, but I do have epilepsy. So when I went down there to talk about it, I pretty much they're like, nope, we're not letting you on a boat. We're not giving you a gun. You're a danger to yourself and others. And well, it's kind of hard to argue that because a seizure with a machine gun sounds like a bad idea. So she got to looking at the papers and she's like, I like this. Would you mind if I did it? I don't know why she thought I'd mind, but I told her if she was interested, do it, and I'd support her all the way and help her any way I could. And that's exactly what happened. So we're the weird couple because everybody expects me to be the military member and her to be the dependent, but it's flipped. And yeah, that's one reason. And it actually worked out for me because, I had to take what I was doing and all that and set it to the side to support her. And that actually led to me ending up teaching magic. I would say that would make a pretty freaking cool tattoo, Will. Just make sure you know what the sigils are and what they're going to be doing. Because actually, every scale on my sleeve, though it doesn't have a sigil on it, there is actually spell work inlaid into every individual scale. So yeah, and well, I do still have that rune tattoo over here too. So no, I think that would be an awesome idea for a tattoo. Um, ambient tarot. Yes, if you go, first off, I'll be putting a link when this goes to the replay after the stream. I'll put a link in the description. But if you don't want to wait on that, there is a link in last week's video. And actually, you know what? Let me see if I can get it to post the link for you all right now. Sometimes we have success with that, sometimes we don't. But you know what? Let's go ahead and try it. Y'all been asking, and y'all know I suck with computers, so you shouldn't laugh too hard at me. I mean, feel free to laugh because I'll be laughing. But let's see if we can get it to work tonight for us. What do you say? I mean, y'all's my viewers and I guess you're fans too. But let's see if I can get this. This is from my old account, so it won't be coming from Working Dragon Mystic. Let's see. Let me know if that worked, somebody. It looks like it worked. It ain't showing up on my screen. Urgh. All right, let me try again on the other account. That might be the problem. See, Peachy and Mathis and regulars, they know how much trouble we have with these links. Wait. Oh, crap. I think I sent the wrong link, people. Hold on. Oh, I did. Okay, that's for the Patreon. But at least it worked. Let's try this one. I got it. Oh, Lord. I suck at computers. You got to laugh at yourself. It's good for you. Thank you, Ambient. I managed to get it right. What's a kid's show? We did it. We did it. Oh, Lord. Now, usually after the live streams, there is actually a chat room in there where we usually have an after thing for people who want to ask questions afterwards. Because inevitably, we always would end the streams and people's like, oh, crap, that question. So feel free to pop in there too. Yep, caveman can do it. Caveman in a digital world. I think you might be right, Mathis. You might be right. You might be right on that. I think that was Dora. So, yeah. So there we go. Now you don't even have to wait for me. I'll still put the link below, but at least you don't have to wait for me now. What's that? Oh, Mathis said y'all should subscribe, though. Appreciate it, Mathis. Oh, Lord. Okay. While we're laughing at me, anybody got any questions? Preferably not computer questions. Unless they're magically related somehow. Thank you, Ambient. I appreciate it. We actually do have a lot of content planned that we want to get out. I've actually considered adding another live stream just to try and break the week up a bit more. So, but we'll see how that goes. Right now, with the class recording, I think the Tuesday video and the 2 current live streams is good. Oh, Lilith is great to work with. I won't lie, I did not work with her at all until I started the Clefothic working. And after my stupidity that I told y'all about with my mistake, the first time I looked at the Clefoth, I considered not doing it. But I'm really glad I took that second step because Lilith is really cool to work with. She's nothing like what I expected her to be. Oh, Emmett, that's great to hear. I'm glad you actually was able to work with dragons and find them because of me. That's awesome. Honestly, I'd have to say no because I honestly didn't realize 7th was even a supermoon. I don't really keep up with moons too much, largely because I'm not somebody who's patient, so I don't really do magic where I have to wait for a certain moon cycle. unless I'm doing something specific and it calls for it. Then I catch up real big on my moon magic. And usually the person who always talks about the moon around me, well, haven't heard from them in a while. So, yeah, I was unaware there's a super moon. Now that you've mentioned it, though, I might have to look and see if I can do a little harnessing of that extra juice. That'd be good to do. Do a nice prosperity spell or something to kind of help push the class along. Now, Mathis, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to answer it with you understanding that this is potential, not currently on any guarantee. But I am wanting to have the first Norse class out by the end of summer or mid-fall. Some of that will depend on everything else that's happening, because there will be that nice little lull between the two Dragon Magic classes where I'll have time to work. And I do plan to take a recording break from classes at least a week before I jump into recording anything else. But I am wanting to have it late summer to mid-fall is my goal. Now, without anything started, that's just current what I want. Okay? Because I know that one time you asked me a question and I was like, no, wait, hold on. No, that's not what I mean. So I want to be clear, this isn't written in stone, but that is the current goal and projection. And I know a lot of people's looking forward to it. Oh, Mortimer, yes, I have. Yes, it works. And no, it's not a good idea because it's a lot harder to get it working again. John, the ruler of air is Zephyr Seal. And depending on the accent, though, it can be pronounced Seal or Zeal, though I've always heard it pronounced more just Seal, even though it's Zeal. Oh, there you go. Ambient, thank you. Ambient's got the name down there. Look at this. Ambient is on it. Thank you, Ambient. Well, they were. Honestly, most of what people know as demons these days were just old gods that didn't have as good a press as others. So they had there's that spin factor that made them into what we now know as demons. Yes, Ambient, we do have a Norse magic class coming. It's probably going to be a 2 or 3 part class because I am going to go deep into the runes. We're not just teaching divinations here. We're going to teach full-on rune magic, rune meditation. We're going to teach you how to dive into the runes on your own, which is something most people leave out. So that you can get your own personal gnosis directly from the runes. We're going to go into that in full detail. So the rune section alone will probably take you 9+ weeks. Or no, that not weeks, maybe months. I should probably say months on that now. I'm doing the math in my head. We're going to do a full section on seethe magic as well as Gulderstaff magic. And we will be covering the cosmology, how they view energy work, how they view the cycles and all those stuff, because it does play into how the magic works. So it's just a matter of, will it be 2 classes, 3? We're not sure yet. Yeah, my rune class, when you sign up for a rune class with me, we go deep into the runes. I don't teach you just the runes. because it's easy to be able to, here's 3 words that this rune represents. This is what you do in the divination. This is how you cast the runes. Moving on. No. We go deep. So, pro tip, if you take the rune class, go ahead and purchase a journal, a big one, because you will have that journal filled up. Yes, I have, and I actually find a lot of his runic work fascinating. Um, and he's definitely somebody that I personally do believe he knows how to. Instead of just buying a book, he dives into the rune for that personal gnosis, which is really important in magic. I prefer to try and teach my students how to dive in and retrieve knowledge and wisdom and information instead of just relying on books and something someone else prints. Because that's how we grow in knowledge. Oh man, you binge watched me? That is awesome. See, that in some ways baffles me because you all tell me you love my voice and you binge watch my videos, and when I edit, the only thing running through my mind is I hate my voice. Editing's like the hardest part for me. Oh yeah, there's a lifetimes of work. A lot of rune masters will tell you you could spend your whole life studying and researching one rune and never complete it. But clearly, I seem to be the only person who doesn't like my voice, so yeah, pays off. Maybe one of these days I'll hit the big time and I can hire an editor. It's like, here, you edit. I won't hold my breath for that, but hey, goals, right? Awesome. That is great to hear, Ambient. Which actually, the artwork for Terrafana is done, so we're just waiting on the print. Because once the print's here, we're going to do the video, so you'll all be able to see the artwork of Terrafana. Which, like I said, we worked through evocation with the rulers to do these, so she gave her stamp of approval and said, "Yes, that's me." So you'll get to see a piece of art of her, which again, if she appears different than what you see in the art, don't worry about that. But she is an awesome dragon to work with. Although I will say, Inglis Salor, because we're currently doing his art, has been annoying. He is way too hyper about getting his artwork done. He has been bugging the piss out of me. I'll be happy when his art is done, so he will chill out. Yeah, I honestly think no one likes their own voice, and I have a theory on that. Because how you hear my voice, you hear it with just your eardrums. But when I hear my voice, I'm used to hearing a certain tone because it's also vibrating in my whole skull. But when I hear the recording, only my eardrums are picking it up. So my voice sounds different to me. Wait, can he actually fanboy on himself? I mean, is that doable? I mean, dude, if I ever get to the UK, I will let you know. And we can go have a pint. And yeah, if somebody for some reason was crazy enough they wanted me to come to a seminar over there, and heck, if they just covered my expenses, I'd be there. That's a free trip to the UK. I'll do it. Well, yeah, okay, well, yeah, or two, we'd have some pints. I got a lot of Nordic and Irish ancestry in me, so Yeah, see, that's where my wife would spend her time is in the ciders. She is a cider connoisseur. So outside ciders, though she is finding she likes some beers, she is enjoying Belgian style beers. She likes the sweeter ones. Otherwise, she's drinking mead. She encourages my home brewing. She's always like, "When are you making more mead?" It's great to have a wife that supports your hobby. Inevitably, guys are like, how do you get your wife to let you do it? It's like, she drinks it too. John, she would love to visit the UK no matter what. You cannot put her in front of anything where they speak with a English accent, and she'll slip into it. She won't know she's doing it. It's the funniest thing. But she will start speaking with a English or British accent when she hears it because she just loves the culture and the people so much. And she's like super smart, but she just drifts right into it. And she doesn't even have to hear it. Like if she's even reading a book, she'll slip into it. It's absolutely hilarious. So no, I do fully plan to actually me and her take a vacation to the UK as soon as we get the free time to do it. Because that is something she loves, and I know she would just adore it. Thinking about doing it for a wedding anniversary or something. Uh, Mathis, I personally think it's the charm, or perceived charm. I can't say I've ever spent much time around a actual full blown English girl, but it's kind of like I have a soft spot for Southern girls, and it's that charm, and they do have a certain independence to them that I adore. But I really do. I think it's something about that charm. And like I said, it could be perceived. For all I know, you get over to England, they could be meaner than snakes too. John would have to actually correct me on that or not. Until I get over there, I can only go by perception. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not going to stop doing public appearances. It's just currently right now in the community I'm in, they don't do a lot around here much at all, unless it's like herbs, candles, and stuff like that, which I don't really do too many seminars on. So, um, but and well, right now no one's getting out and doing anything, but I do expect once things go back to normal, I'll be doing the seminars again. Like I get invited down to Tennessee and Kentucky, um, and Georgia a lot to just do like little seminars, which is as long as they're covering the trip, I don't mind doing it. I love it. I get to meet a lot of people, lots of interesting questions. It's awesome. Yeah, John, we will definitely have to look into that and put some energy out there to see if we can make something happen. That does sound like a lot of fun. I've been to a lot of sacred power sites, and yeah, I did visit Serpent Mound in Ohio. Um, there's a place around here I've not been to yet that I'm wanting to. It's called Devil's Bathtub. It's supposed to be some kind of natural spring. I want to check that out. But yeah, I actually grew up in Kentucky, so I did spend a lot of time in and out of Ohio. Um, it's been a while, but Serpent's Mound, I found the energy was when I was there, you could tell there was almost like if it's going to make sense, like a chaotic peacefulness to that energy. And it was very early in my career, so I want to go back and revisit the site now that I know what I know to see if I could figure out exactly what was causing the energy like that. Is it still like that? Was it a temporary thing? But yeah, I mean, I love visiting sites like that when I get a chance. If any of you get a chance to like visit like Cumberland Falls, I know people don't list it as a sacred site, but good grief, the energy there is amazing. And it's one of the few places that has a natural moonbow. So you can go out on a full moon, and when the conditions are right, it forms a natural rainbow across the falls. It's freaking awesome. Mathis, I usually do seminars on evocation, on demonology, dragon magic. Um, one of the big ones that people were asking for right before I moved was on the science of magic, how I actually take magic and break it down to the nuts and bolts of science and step away from the dogma and the religions and just focus on, the bare bones of what it works. That got to be a very popular seminar. But I've done a seminar in Norse magic, um, runes. I did do one angelic seminar, but that was on special request. I don't get a lot of requests for that one. So it's generally I'll do a seminar on anything that the group wants as long as it's actually something I know. Like I don't talk about crystals much because I don't use them much. Even though I have a working knowledge, it's not enough knowledge that I feel comfortable teaching it. So that's really the only limitation. Some of them do feel muted, and then some of them are just like so hyperactive, it's crazy. I can't remember the name of it, but there's a place in Arizona where, I mean, it's the entire area just feels like it's absolute nirvana. It is weird. And then if you ever go to Tombstone, the energy in Tombstone is just freaking high. I mean, I can't even put it into words. And well, Peachy, you should be saying this one. Louisiana and New Orleans, the energy there is just off the charts. That's the one. Thanks, Will. Sedona. Yes, that one. Thank you for see, you knew what I was talking about just by the description of the energy. What I mean by science of magic, um, I actually look at what makes magic work. Most people focus on a tradition or a system of magic, like the Golden Dawn, ceremonial magic, Wicca, witchcraft, voodoo. There, I mean, if you go to a bookstore, you see there's all these different ways that people are doing magic, but most of them are built around a tradition, a religion. There's some sort of limited framework that they're putting you in. So when I say the science of magic, I step away from that and I look at what exactly is making it work. Why does it work? This way, you can take those bare bones and apply it to what you're trying to manifest. And that allows you to tweak it, adjust it, and make fine tuning and build your own personal individual practice around that. And you have nothing that doesn't serve your use and your purpose. So it does really break it down into a very scientific method like practice, which I won't lie, a lot of people don't like because it don't feel as spiritual. But if you're studying it as a way of self progression, self improvement, and manifestation, like I do, the whole spiritual side doesn't matter as much to me. I mean, true, it could easily be said I benefit just as much as a spiritual person, but my approach, a lot of spiritual people find my approach distasteful. But at the same time, by focusing that way, I can learn it and then I can teach that bare bones to the students. And you have a working knowledge, so you can go whatever path you want to go and it still functions. Well, John, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to get more information out there, and at least for the places I can go to expos and seminars, I do. So, like, there was an expo last year I wanted to go to, but they didn't have room. So I told them if they needed me to let me know and when they have their next one. So we'll see if they invite me. But no, I'm pretty easy going as long as I got the time and I'm able. I have no problem doing them. Because as Halloween on here is noticed, I'm a knowledge junkie. When I get bored, I study, I research. That's what I do for fun. So it's very easy for me to want to share that as well. All right, let's see here. We are at 2:20. All right. We'll probably get ready to wrap up here. Anybody have any last minute questions I can answer before we do go? Do I have a dragon altar? Not really. um, I do have a workspace and I do have the dragon's eye seal in my house, which originally was kind of I guess that would be what you would call an altar like space, the space where dragons always had a spot in my house. But I don't really build altars in the way most people do. I build them more as workspaces where the entities I work with are always more than welcome. So if you go in my ritual room, I do have an altar set aside for my Norse work. And then I have my workspace, which usually has the dragon's eye seal on it, unless I'm doing something very specific. The dragon's eye seal will always be sitting there. But no, as far as a dedicated altar for the dragons, I don't. And part of that is when it comes to working with most of these entities, for me, my life is the altar. So they're always welcome in my life. They always have a place in my life and therefore in my house. And that's always really worked very well. In fact, the only reason the Norse altar is in there, and this is going to sound funny, but I got two really awesome statues of Odin and Freya. And the Freya statue I fell in love with because usually most people see Freya as a goddess of love, beauty, fertility, and that's it. And they completely leave out the fact that she's a goddess of war. She's a goddess of, she's the queen of the Valkyries. And so all these very strong, independent, combative, empowering aspects of her, they just tend to toss them out because they don't want to look at that. Oh, look, she's totally willing to kill a person. They don't like war, so they toss it out. And this statue actually shows her with her sword and shield. So it was a statue that really embodied that entirety of what Freya was. And since I don't have room on my workspace, I had to have a place to put these statues where they wouldn't get broken or anything. So I actually created a little Norse spot where I keep the statues if I'm not working directly with the entities. Yes, Ambient, Freya is complex and she is a badass. Most people don't know, but I mean, most people know that Odin gets when, the Valkyries take the fallen to Valhalla. What most people don't know is Freya gets first pick of 50% of all the fallen. As the queen of the Valkyries, she gets first pick, and then what she doesn't pick goes to Odin. I mean, she is very much a complex goddess, and she is a powerhouse to work with. I really was not expecting a goddess like her when I first got approached by her. Because again, I only knew the myths that everyone talked about. So I was expecting this kind of June Cleaver-ish personality. And lo and behold, I end up with Xena, warrior princess on steroids. And on top of that, she is a goddess of magic. So you have that magic, that knowledge, that battle. I mean, yeah, I fell in love with her. She's definitely the perfect goddess for me because I do have that warrior spirit. I'm very protective, and I won't back down from a fight when it's for a good cause. And magic is so important to me as is knowledge. So, yeah, it's not hard once you understand the complexity and the fullness of who she is, why me and her get along so well. I am planning to do a video on her at some point, Ambient. I kind of got derailed because but I wanted to follow up soon after I did the Odin video last year. It just hasn't happened yet. Though her, Odin, Hel, and Loki will all play large parts in the classes we're teaching because they really do work deeply within the energy currents that the framework of Norse magic's built on. So you will be seeing those four for sure, and quite honestly, a few more as well. In fact, one entity that I do plan to put into those classes, I plan to get Jormungandr into those classes. Because the World Serpent is a dragon, and he plays a huge part that is usually not talked about. Him and Nidhogger. And I think if I'm going to do a Norse class as a dragon magic practitioner, those two need to be talked about. They need to be brought up and brought forward in a way that most people refuse to talk about them. So yeah, those are definitely going to be talked about as well. She's, you know what, Ambient? I will take a picture of that statue and I'll shoot it to you on, well, yeah, I'll shoot it to you on Discord. Because I think you said you were going to get on Discord if you haven't already signed up. So you can see the statue because I fell in love with it. I usually don't buy statues, but I had to. Well, that's a good question. And I've actually tried to nail that down somewhat. And honestly, I would say Loki kind of straddles the line between the two. Honestly and truly, I do say he straddles that line because he is both that chaotic, that creation, and that destruction for embetterment. But at the same time, a lot of his antics are all about growth, movement, and change. If something gets stagnant, Loki is there to stir the pot. So he really does straddle both of those very well. Though I will say he's a lot more approachable than the Maelstrom Dragons and the Chaos Dragons. He's actually easier to work with in most cases because he seems to have a bit more understanding of his pranks. So as severe as his pranks can be, they serve a purpose, and he's also willing to help uh, be a bit more uplifting on them. Cool, Ambient. I'll try and get the picture sent to you as soon as I get done here. Jormungandr is actually a chaos dragon. So yeah, definitely a primal force. And if any of you was wondering about the dragon I met where the thing was just freaking massive and in the water, that was him. I didn't expect to be sent to talk to him. But he is a chaos dragon that also crosses over into the water realms. So he actually falls under chaos and water. And he does have a good, strong association with earth. So he's actually a very... So he falls under 3 elements, but his primary is definitely that chaos element. That's why you don't really see a lot of him, because his main job is all about making sure what's there is supposed to be there, is serving a purpose. But in Ragnarok, he's part of that destruction and rebirth. He's very instrumental in it. Name of the water dragon, Coralegra. If you're asking about the water dragon ruler. You have to understand that what most people read as the Ragnarok legend is from a Christian perspective. And yeah, Jormungandr does kill some people, but in order to start a new world cycle, you have to basically, which is what that story's telling, it's telling an actual end of one cycle and beginning of another. So when you look at the cycles, death itself is the end that starts the new beginning. So you got to look at death as what it represents in the cycle, not in the literal. Because even in killing Thor, that's part of the cycle, because one thing that's left out of that is everybody asks, because all Loki's children were supposed to play a part in Ragnarok, but Hel is never mentioned. What was her part? Her part is actually, she is literally the main catalyst of the new beginning. Once Ragnarok is over, once the cycle has fully concluded, she opens the gates of her realm so everything can be reborn and come back, including the gods. If that makes sense. I mean, I grant you, I summed that up real quick in a nutshell. Honestly, when it comes to motherly, compassionate, and caring, Hel is the goddess that I think of. She has a really bad rap. And there's a video on here where they talk about Nidhogg and Jormungandr. Somebody else did it from a more archaeological view, where they actually show that those two entities would not have been fought or killed in actual Norse culture because of how important they are to the culture and their symbolism. And that the Snorri Christianized version demonized them because of their representation to dragons and snakes and therefore the devil. which I loved when I found that video because it just like totally clicked with every bit of gnosis I'd been finding. So it's always good to get those confirmations. Um, for me, as far as her personality, that's from my work with her. Um, as to her part in Ragnarok, that comes from some of the myths that aren't translated by Snorri. And I've been trying to find a book that has it listed that isn't just like one random snippet translation. And unfortunately, when I wrote it down, I didn't write down the website. Though I found it in 4 or 5 places online, just reading different translations and stuff. So it's not like I just found it in one place. Because if I find it in one place, that don't count. Anybody can say something. I need to find it in multiple sources. But I am trying to find it because we do have people that are actually doing translations that are more focused on the history and the culture and stuff like that. So we are starting to see more of that. Unfortunately, the Asatru community don't seem to be looking into them as much because it really separates the religion. Because again, we're focusing on, you know, the non-magical side, the non-religious sides when you're looking at archaeology. So in order to research and look into those, you have to be willing to question what you're currently using. And a lot of people don't like doing that. So if I find it in a book, you can bet I will let you all know. It's just right now it's hard to find, and most people's books are expensive. Though I do know an author, I got his book saved on my Amazon. I can never remember his name. I plan on getting all 3 of his translations. And if it's in there, you can bet I'll let you know quickly. But he is like a big, I mean, he's college professor guy, teaches everything, and he's been working on his translations for years. I know a lot of people find his videos boring because he is just so much on the literal side. But that's actually why I find his videos fascinating, and I'm hoping his translations follow suit. So I just got to buy the books, which I'm wanting to order in the next couple weeks, at least one of them. All right. Well, with that, I will get off here and let you all get to what you're doing. And I will be in the Discord within a few minutes or so that if you have any follow-up questions, you can ask me. And even if you remember them tomorrow, if you're in Discord, shoot me the question. I'm usually pretty social as long as I'm not lost in editing. And sometimes even then, because it's better to answer questions than listen to myself. All right. With that, I'll see you all hopefully Sunday for the Magical Coffee Hour. Be sure to join us there. And if you do feel like supporting our cause, pop over to the Patreon. I'll make sure the link's below here also when I post the video. And your support's always appreciated. Helps us out a lot to keep things running and get the equipment we need. You all are very welcome. I'm happy to do it. Rest well. Okay. Yeah, I do plan to rest tomorrow, and I plan to do a good job at it. It's been a long time coming. I need it. Thank you, Ambient. All right. With that, I'll see y'all later. You have a good one. Bye-bye.